With our heroes rejuvenated after being able to make it back into the past, Goku, who's now learned about the Mafuba technique as a way to battle against Zamasu and Goku Black, and Vegeta, who's now gone back into the time chamber to train, now head back into the future in order to help save Trunks from the impending doom that awaits him as our heroes try once again to put an end to Zamasu and Goku Black. What's going on, Dragon Ball Super fans? Welcome to my Dragon Ball Super episode 63 review entitled Do Not Disgrace the Saiyan Cells. The curtain of Vegeta's fierce battle rises as we head towards Dragon Ball Super episode 64, and what an episode this was. Now again guys, keep in mind this video will contain massive amounts of spoilers, so if you guys don't want anything ruined for you, simply fast forward the video, go watch the episode, come back so we can talk more Dragon Ball Super down in the comments. Don't cry in the comments about being spoiled by the thumbnail or any of that, because nothing is being said or shown that you guys don't already know. Also be sure to check out the description down below for lots of goodies, updates, and contact information to where we can interact on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That way we can talk more Dragon Ball Super. And again, quick plugs before we begin. If you guys are new to this channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button for all latest in Dragon Ball news, updates, What If Battles, Xenoverse 2, and much more. Daily uploads and daily content for you all to watch and enjoy. So I thank you so much for supporting the channel greatly, as I always do. Be sure to spread the word about Unreal ENT Gaming. The translations were provided by Herms98 on Twitter, just in case you guys are wondering how I was able to pick up on the dialogue prior to the subs coming out. And with that being said, on to the episode now. We've been waiting for this for quite some time, ever since the official reveal that Zamasu and Goku Black are going to be having somewhat of a merger, having combined powers. Now we do understand that the fusion is coming, and without a shadow of a doubt we understand as to why now, at least. Total annihilation, ultimate destruction by the hands of Goku Black and Zamasu. And based on the episode preview, especially for Dragon Ball Super episode 64 and the way it looks so far, it looks to be very rewarding, as now Goku, Vegeta, and Trunks are going to be encountering the fusion of Goku Black and Zamasu, which again is going to be an unbelievable amount of power behind that fusion, and especially very terrifying having to behold someone who has that kind of power behind them. So we start the episode off once again as Goku had learned the Mafuba in order for it to be like somewhat of a last resort or a first resort to seal away Zamasu, as they focused more on Black. But it looks like this episode was very chaotic in and of itself. First thing I want to point out is the animation was really good. People that are complaining about the animation, which I think have no reason to, because in this episode I think the animation was really spot on, and I think the overall execution on the battles were really good. I mean, we haven't seen you know, things be well executed like this in quite some time. It's actually really refreshing to see you know, how Toei Animation is actually focusing more or less on animation and the overall, you know, essence of the battles than ever before. So the episode starts off right where we left off with Goku and Vegeta, especially Vegeta coming out of the hyperbolic time chamber, literally destroying Kami's lookout, which again was very impressive. But you have to ask yourself, it's like if he destroyed, you know, the hyperbolic time chamber, what does that mean for the Room of Spirit of Time? You know, like we saw him emerge, he was covered in smoke, and we see how he takes off and he goes to Bulma, because Bulma is putting fuel inside the time machine. So one thing that kind of struck me here is the fact that if Vegeta came out the hyperbolic time chamber and he destroyed the entrance, or what it looked like he destroyed the entire place from Popo and Dende's standpoint, you know, like, are we able to go back into the time chamber now? Like, that really didn't really make sense to me as much, because I mean, we saw the hyperbolic time chamber be destroyed before and they were able to rebuild it. So my question is, are they able to rebuild it yet again? We see Goku with the evil containment wave. He's talking to Roshi as, you know, he fares his goodbyes and his thank yous on learning the Mafuba, and we pan it over back into the future where Trunks is recovering. But even as Trunks recovers, he wakes up to see Yajirobe there, and he asks Yajirobe where Mai is, and then Yajirobe tells, you know, Trunks that Mai had went off to go to Zamasu and Goku Black's hideout, in which case he quickly gets up and he quickly tries to pursue her to try to find her, because obviously enough she is there in the woods with a couple of resistance members and a sniper bullet with her. So she was actually planning on catching Black with something called, you know, a super duper energy bullet, in which case we see Zamasu and Black, you know, they're having some tea, they're talking about the events that have occurred, and they don't seem to be worried at all. I mean, obviously enough, during some point they let Trunks live because he managed to escape, but Black and Zamasu have no concern about this. They're drinking tea, and Mai loads up the sniper, in which case she fires at the sniper and it catches Black right in the skull. She pulled off a beastly headshot. Black falls off of the chair, he falls down, and surprisingly enough, you know, we all thought that she pulled off like a epic, you know, like quick scope, you know, headshot right then and there, but we see how Black stood up and he was like, what the hell was that? And he notices that, oh, it was the girl. So, you know, we see how Zamasu and Black get towards the edge of their hideout, and they unleash somewhat of a key energy blast towards their direction, and Mai thinks that she's gonna die right there because she sees the blast coming. And in retrospect, we see how all of a sudden Trunks shows up and he deflects the energy blast, in which case we see how, you know, even prior to that, Black was talking about how the next time they encounter, Goku is going to be his last time because, and I quote, Black said, if I beat Goku this time, my power will reach its maximum potential. So we see how Black is talking about defeating Goku permanently, but even when Trunks showed up, we see how Black and Zamasu were discussing like the evil mortal plan, and we see how Black and Zamasu quickly vow to dish out rebellious, you know, revenge on, you know, Trunks, and we see Trunks charge them, and in which case we see a very awesome fight ensue. Trunks, you know, managed to unleash a very powerful Gallic Gun attack, which pushes Black so far back, literally through the woods, up through the sky, and into like somewhat of like a mountainous area, and we see how big the Gallic Gun was, because as quickly as Trunks came, he was able to hold off Black just enough for him to push him back a little bit until he fired off the Gallic Gun. So major props to Trunks. Even though Trunks, you know, does end up getting stabbed, he still manages to fire off this giant Gallic Gun that pushes Black all the way into the mountain, and we see how he's covered in rubble and stuff, but even as Trunks descends down to grab his sword, we see how Zamasu shows up, and Trunks turns around and he says, now all I have to defeat is you, and Zamasu begins to laugh at him, you know, insinuating that he's somewhat of a joke, but even after that, we see how Black emerged from the rubble, and he said, how is Trunks able to have so much power left? Is he immortal as well? You know, indicating, because Black is a little stumped here. He's like, wait a minute, hold on. How is Trunks even still alive? I mean, is he immortal as well? Because like, there's no way he should be alive right now. But we see, you know, Trunks throw down with Zamasu, and Trunks says, even for an immortal, your regeneration should have its limits, and I'll blow you to bits. And by that, he grabs Zamasu by the neck after, you know, having to, you know, somewhat of a struggle with him. He grabs, you know, Zamasu by the neck, and he was gonna do somewhat of a final explosion. That's what it looked like, because Trunks wanted to blow his ass up, and in retrospect, we see how Black shows up out of nowhere and stabs Trunks right in the back. So Trunks goes down, he smacks a couple of buildings on his way down, and we see how, you know, as he goes down and he you know, he hits his face onto the ground, all of a sudden the time machine appears and Goku and Vegeta are there, and we see how once they touch down, you know, Bulma says, you know, we have to go help Trunks right now, and you know, Goku and Vegeta are very hesitant, and she says, why don't you go help him? And Vegeta says, because they're here, and out of nowhere Zamasu shows up with Black, and they begin to laugh at Goku and Vegeta, and quickly, just as quickly as Black and Zamasu came, Black automatically destroyed the time machine because he did not want Goku and Vegeta to leave anymore. That was it. They did not want them to escape this time, and Zamasu, after he blows up the time machine, he says, this era will be your grave, and Vegeta replies with a smile saying, no, it'll be your graves. And we see how Zamasu pretty much babbles on about how, you know, the Zero Mortal Plan is now in effect, and the last remnants of the time right now, the only adversaries that are standing in their way are Goku and Vegeta. And then Vegeta begins to question Goku. He's like, wait a minute, where's the Mafuba jar? And Goku's like, oh snap, it was actually inside the time machine. So we see how Goku and Vegeta are having somewhat of a little argument right in front of Zamasu and Black about this, because, you know, Vegeta's like, how could you be so stupid? How could you be so stupid to leave the Mafuba jar in the time machine, you idiot? So even with that, Vegeta says, well, you know, that's the case, let's just beat them up, because that worked, you know, the last time a little bit. So Goku's like, are you sure? Like, because they're not going to be easy pickings, and Vegeta says, let's try anyway. And then out of nowhere, Gowasu shows up. Gowasu shows up with the Supreme Kai, and that's when everyone was surprised. And we see how the Gowasu from the main timeline, he shows up via Time Ring, and he heard about the whole story via Beerus, and we see how Black is like, holy crap, it's Gowasu. And even future Zamasu was like, welcome, like I really wasn't expecting you to like even be alive, how did you show up? And Gowasu, you know, he says, I have the Time Ring, I have the Potaras, I can travel, and he begins to chew out future Zamasu. And in which case, we see how Goku says, wait a minute, you're chewing out the wrong person. And, you know, Goku corrects him by saying, you know, your pupil is the other one, meaning Black. So Goku says, like, the person that killed you wasn't really future Zamasu. He was going to do it, but he didn't do it. The person that really did it was Black. So Gowasu begins to, you know, start talking to Black about, you know, how much he's betrayed the Kais, and how he was supposed to be in the line of position to be something. And Gowasu wants to use the Super Giant Dragon Balls to revive all of Black's victims, but Black stops him by saying everyone is already dead. The gods are dead. Every single person that, you know, you want to revive are dead. And even if you want to use the super giant Dragon Balls, they're not in existence because they destroyed them. So Vegeta selects Black as his opponent, as Goku selects Zamasu, and quickly as they're all talking, Black and Zamasu wish death upon Gowasu, and they launch a giant energy attack to try to kill him off. But of course, Goku and Vegeta deflect it in their Super Saiyan Blue forms, and that's when we get to see, you know, everyone collide, and we see how Vegeta, for the first time in a very long time, is able to do something awesome, and that he was able to push Black's back so bad he was beating him through buildings, and Black tried to stab Vegeta again, but Vegeta countered, and Zamasu is freaked out just to see Black apparently having to struggle with Vegeta, because Black is not supposed to be at a point to where he's supposed to struggle. Black is supposed to be ahead of Vegeta, but in fact he is not. So we see how Vegeta, you know, pretty much grabs Black by the face. He's slamming him through buildings, and we see how Goku's kicking Zamasu's ass, but Zamasu does not have any sort of like battle damage to him, and we see how Goku says, so you really are immortal, huh? Like, it's kind of baffling to me how, you know, a snake like you can still be alive. And we see how, obviously enough, even while that happened, Vegeta begins to just completely pummel Black into the pavement, and he says to him, let me tell you your miscalculation, it's that body. Like Ginyu, Black and Goku's body isn't just the same as Goku. And then he says, you're a fake and I am the real deal. I am Prince Vegeta. And he begins to power up, and Black begins to get a little confused, but at the same time, Black begins to smile towards the end. And then we go into the episode preview. Praise and adore him, the explosive birth of merged Zamasu, as they finally combine powers. And of course, they have green skin, white hair, and the white hair looks very eerily similar to the rumored Super Saiyan white form that we were all talking about and speculating of, you know, many months ago. So, you know, Goku thinks that Black may be strong, but leaves him open to the idea. Even prior to the preview, when they finally fuse, we see how once they've actually managed to merge together, in which case I think is going to create a very powerful adversary. I mean, his aura was white behind him. I'm loving the idea of, you know, this merged Zamasu having white hair. You know, obviously now people are going to complain about his skin, but he seems to have a very unique clothing set as well. But I'm just really curious to see what's going to happen here, because now that Gowasu's here, we finally have, you know, the clarity to where Beerus is not here. So Beerus has not he's not gone to the future yet, but however, Gowasu's there. So since the fact that we do understand that, you know, Zamasu and Black had fused via Potaras, and now they've actually created one being, now I think this gives Gowasu all the reasons in the world to hand his earrings on over to Goku and Vegeta, as they possibly fuse into Vegito as we carry on with, you know, this merged fusion. But again, this episode was a lot better than episode 62 in my opinion. Lots of lore building, lots of action. The way Vegeta was beating up Black, it was really awesome to see, because it was actually redemption for all the things that Black had done to him and his family. But of course, Black was able to even grow during that beating, because that's what Black does. He grows during pain, and Black wants you to beat him up, because that's how he gains his power, is through physical confrontation, through physical pain. And we saw how he was able to grow from that, because he became one hell of a fucking fighter after that. Because even in the episode preview, we see how there are multiple Blacks. You know, I think that the reason why there are multiple Blacks are because maybe perhaps he used the after image technique, or perhaps maybe he was able to like use somewhat of like a distraction technique for a second, because we saw how, you know, he was able to like replicate himself. It was just crazy stuff. But again, the episode preview is going to be that of the merged Zamasu. We're gonna have Goku and Vegeta fight them off one more time to see if they can destroy them, but I think it's gonna fail, because obviously enough, now we have the merged fusion coming into play, which is gonna be a very difficult task for even Goku and Vegeta to take down. But even throughout everything, the question is, what is Gowasu going to do to help better the situation? Because we do understand how tough the merged fusion is going to be between Zamasu and Black. So how is Gowasu going to do anything to help, if anything at all? Because at this point, Goku and Vegeta are going to have to pull something out of their arsenal to hold back at least the fusion, because at this very point, we can only make the assumption on how strong the fusion is actually going to be. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. section below. But let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What are your overall thoughts on the episode? What are your overall thoughts going into next week's episode? And with the upcoming spoilers to come, what are your overall thoughts as to how they can actually defeat this duo, especially when they come together? Let me know your thoughts, guys. Once again, thank you all for watching. If you guys are fans, don't forget to subscribe for more awesome daily content. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to finger that like button. Let me know what you guys think down below. Tune in for more, and I'll be seeing you all in the next video. Take it easy, guys. Peace.